Thank you so much, Chair Naran, Vice Chair Wright, and members of the committee. My name is Andrea Valderrama, and I proudly represent Outer East Portland as State Representative for House District 47. And like Senator Dembrow mentioned, as members of the Education Appropriation Committee, we really agree that education, our students, our teachers, our school districts deserve an investment more than what we currently have. They deserve our attention and our care. And so we really took that charge and those shared values to heart in all of the conversations in the Education Appropriations Committee. And, we also use that lens when reviewing the report that I know is linked to the materials from 2022 QEC. Our formal charge, as the senator did a really great job of explaining, is to rely on this report to then make a determination of whether our schools are being adequately funded or not. And what we found in the extensive conversations that we had over the past few months, however, was that the report really didn't provide us the data to be able to make that determination, to be able to make an analysis or even the outcomes of what we were wanting to see. And so we really felt like moving forward, it was within our responsibility to name that and to share that as electeds, we need to make informed decisions. We need to have the right data to be able to move forward, especially on a conversation as important as our students' education. And this also then requires transparency and accountability of those who are providing who are charged with providing the information to us to make those informed decisions. So we, in the transmittal letter that I believe is also listed on the committee materials, included additional recommendations on just specificity of that report moving forward, right? Just basic details on data, metrics, and analysis in the determination of those model schools, as the senator was mentioning, but also information on key stakeholders involved. We know that information is best provided by those with lived experience, those who are engaged in the school districts, and we wanted to hear what that engagement looked like as well. We also wanted to see a little bit more of an examination of the relationship between state appropriation and local spending. And again, as a previous school board member, I think that particular component is really important as we move forward and look at not just how much we're providing school districts, but how those monies are then being spent. One of the things that we noticed with this in previous reports was that the type of analysis that was provided was a professional judgment analysis. And what we would like to see is a little bit more detail on an additional analysis that provides a little bit more information to us as we're having these important conversations. And I think just a couple of other things that I'll mention is, the information currently in the report and the numbers shown don't include the full spectrum of types of funding that touch education. And I think that that is a really big missing component of this conversation. For example, full integration, let's say, of example of the Student Success Act dollars in this conversation would be so important and so vital, but unfortunately was not something we were able to do because it was not included in the report. I also am really excited to have our newly formed Department of Early Learning and even pre-kinder programs that, again, was not included in the report and then therefore not available to us to really see that full spectrum of even pre-kinder to higher education. And so would love to see some of those numbers and that full spectrum of the stated statutory commitments that we've made for education. And then I think the last thing that I'll mention before I pass it over to my colleague is I'm really excited to see that there's a lot of coordination between the executive branch and the governor's office and the senator and some of the co-chairs on these conversations to really get at what are those outcomes that we're wanting to see. I also personally believe that a review of our corporate kicker is an important part of this conversation and would love personally to see that happen. And, for for me, as we move into this session, I know there's an omnibus bill and other kind of bills that we're going to be continuing to focus on transparency, on accountability here. We all want our students to grow, to learn, to grow, to thrive. We all want school districts that are healthy and safe and provide an atmosphere not only of learning but of growth in a full community. And these are really the values that centered our additional recommendations, so that we are not just sharing a receipt of report, but really sharing in the commitment to our schools and our staff there. So I will, with that, pass it over to Michael.